Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for calling my uncle a repulsive person? My 28 male uncle, 55 male, is religious guy, but he is also a J //RK homophobe and I happen to be gay. It's not like I've come out to my family but they know. I mean I live in another country with my roomie in a house we own, and a set of twins. The reason why I haven't come out like officially is because I have to explain my life to anyone. I live in another country, but I came back to my homeland to celebrate my great-grandmother's 100th birthday. My roomie, husband, couldn't come because our babies are just months old and preferred to stay in Austria. Her party was 2 days ago, and a huge party was thrown. My uncle was drinking some liquor, so he suddenly mentioned that Mary, his wife 35, is pregnant and then he said, I told Mary that if this child happens to be F/G/SS, it'll disown him and it'd probably have him be / headed. Looks at me and says, yeah, I'll do the same. Wouldn't you? A little background info. My uncle had a daughter named Catherine. She was his first child, but he never provided for her, never spent time with her. He has built houses for his mistresses, but his daughter is renting as a single mom and he doesn't help her. So, I said, no, you know how I'd have my son be / headed. It never, if he happens to be a deadbeat who abandons a child and never provides for them. If as a deadbeat who sees that his daughter is struggling financially with 2 kids as a single mom, but does nothing to help while building houses for mistresses that cheat on him later on. His mistresses kicked him out after he builds the house. He has built at least 3. That's how I'd disown him. Just if he happens to be as repulsive and deadbeat as you are. A lot of his friends, his wife, and children from his previous dead wife were there. His face went red and was seemingly ashamed. My great-grandma scolded him, and my grandma scolded me, so my great-grandma ended up scolding my grandma for scolding me, and it was all a mess. My parents say that as I know how he is I should have just ignored him. The party wasn't the same from that point. So, great-grandma says I did nothing wrong, but grandma says I ruined everything. I need some opinions from strangers. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. And yay for great-grandma having your back. Great-grandma having your back. That woman is a badass queen. She is stronger than any person I know. I want to be like her. She was the only person I officially came out to. She says her word is a law in her house, so my grandma did nothing but shut up. NTA. Your uncle is a homophobic cheating misogynist. If he gets to hypothesize about beheading his own future child for the possibility that they might be homosexual, then surely you can talk about who and what he is right now. Too bad he's such a turd. NTA. You were absolutely right to call him out, and extra kudos to great-grandma. It's just how he is some bullshit. And when he's saying things like I would behead my child for being gay, that's a level well beyond ashlery. That someone should call the cops. Maybe levels of ashlery. I'm so sorry you had to be a part of this conversation at all. And hardcore respect to you for taking him down a peg publicly. If I were you, I would try to stay away from him and the family members who brushed off his. I don't even want to call it a comment. Am I the antagonist for not saying anything when someone called me spoiled and privileged? My husband's best friend Nate got a new girlfriend, Camilla, about half a year ago. She moved to our city recently, so she doesn't really have any friends here. But she and I hanged out a couple of times and started to get friendly. For context, we are all in our 20s. My husband and I both have nice jobs. We own a small flat. Play tennis as a hobby. Camilla thinks it a rich people sport, and we regularly travel by finding 10 plane tickets and staying at cheap hostels for 3 nights at a time. Now to the point, my husband and I were hosting a little get together. Nate, Camilla and a few of our other friends were invited. At one point, the conversation went to topics like the current level of inflation, how the lockdown affected people and jobs, the housing market, etc. and I had something to say too. Agreeing with Camilla. Camilla cut me off and said something like, haha, No offense, but you are way too much of a spoiled privileged girl to understand things like this. You would need a tragedy or two in your life to understand struggle. I love you, but you never experienced any hardship in your life. Haha. The room went dead silent and nobody said anything. After some awkward silence, I stood up and said, well, is anybody hungry? Shall we eat? And we never went back to that topic. Camilla messaged me the next day asking me how could I do this to her. Nate told her afterwards that I had an abusive father and I fell ill as a teenager. Spent months in the hospital. Had to have multiple life-saving surgeries, and it took me a month to learn to walk again. Camilla is mad at me for not telling these very personal things to her before, and making her look terrible to Nate's friends. She said that even correcting her at the party would have been better, because then she cold apologized to me in front of everyone. But I took that chance away from her, and now she will never make friends here. Honestly, this whole thing is ridiculous, and I don't really think I'm an asshole, but it never hurts to ask. Maybe I should have gently corrected her after she said that. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. Camilla could have avoided all of that by just keeping quiet. She didn't need to weigh in an ignorant opinion like that. And it certainly wasn't going to help her make friends. Even if it was true. What she said was rude and uncalled for. This is on her. Her jealousy of Op was shining through. Best rule to live by is never to make assumptions of people, even if you think you are 100% correct. My mom found this out hard way when she asked a lady if she was pregnant. I'm sure you all could imagine what happened. She was not, and my mom was mortified. Hopefully Camilla learns a lesson here, but I'm highly doubtful that she will. Opnet the a-hole. I've heard someone else say on Reddit that you should only ask a woman if she's pregnant if she is actively pushing out a baby and you can see the baby. Lol. Lots of people have this idea of what they think a pregnant woman looks like, and it's hilarious how many people are just so wrong. NTA. Camilla wants a performative friendship. She was trying to meet new people and committed a major faux pas by trying to make herself seem worldly by calling you out in your own home, and it backfired on her spectacularly. Be cordial. Be polite. But move on. Am I the antagonist for encouraging my daughter to be a housewife? My daughter is at that stage where kids pretend they are grown-ups with jobs. The jobs differ depending on who she meets or sees in the TV. In the last few months, she wanted to be a teacher, babysitter, truck driver, president, garbage collector, photographer, knee doctor. After I injured it, scientist, which, football steward. Last month I was watching a football match with her and she asked me why are the people in yellow not watching the game. When I explained they are there to ensure that no one go to the pitch, she told me that's what she wants to do when she grows up because they get paid to do nothing. Lol. I try to play along with every job she wants to do and buy her the required tools for it if I could afford it. For the steward job I got her a little vest and made her an official badge. She would stand in silence watching me and after a few minutes demand I pay her. Last Saturday an old friend of mine paid us a visit. My daughter asked her about her job. My friend replied that she is a housewife, so for the whole afternoon my daughter kept interrogating her. After my friend left, all my daughter wants to do since then is to be a housewife. She already has 3 kids that she helps with homework and teach them manners, and each one of them has a food allergy. Yesterday we were coming back from the grocery store when we met some neighbors. They started talking with her when she told them she just came back from the grocery store to make dinner for her husband and children. They gave me some weird looks and said goodbye. A few hours later they knocked on my door. They wanted to have a private discussion with me. After I explained what's happening, they gave me a 1-hour lecture about how stupid and ignorant I was, and I should stop encouraging this because I was damaging my daughter. They told me we aren't in the 60s anymore and young girls shouldn't dream about being housewives anymore, and demanded I stop brainwashing my daughter because her subconscious will start settling for being a housewife instead of dreaming about bigger things. I haven't been able to sleep since then. I had my daughter when I was 19 and now I'm 24. Her mom wants nothing to do with her. Every day has been a struggle and most of the time I don't even know if what I'm doing is right, so the thought of unintentionally hurting my daughter is filling me with guilt. Now for the top comments. I don't really get the sense of you encouraging her to be a housewife so much as you encouraging her. This week it's a housewife. Next week could be an astronaut. It doesn't matter. You're not dictating to her. You're just letting her express interest and encouraging it. And hey, she's 5. She'll change her mind on what she wants to be when she grows up a million times before she's 18. And then quite possibly end up doing something she'd never thought of anyway. Because life's like that. For this alone, I try to play along with every job she wants to do and buy her the required tools for it if I could afford it. You're a fab dad. NTA. Anyone trying to tell you otherwise is NTA. She's obviously mimicking any job she sees. Kids mirror what's around them. You're not pushing her towards being a housewife in particular, it's just her flavor of the week. It's healthy to show kids options and give them choices. I'm a child-free gothy tattoo artist. I've always hated anything feminine and strive to be as unladylike as physically possible. However, my very best friend is a blonde bombshell fashionista SAHM, the exact caricature of the 60s lady that your neighbors warned against. And do you know what we both have in common? We are really freaking happy with our life choices. She loves being a mum. She has funny, smart, gorgeous kids. And she takes pride in keeping her house in order. Her husband is wonderful and really nails that home/work-life balance. And I love owning a fuck ton of snakes and having enough money to upgrade my gaming PC whenever I like. What I'm trying to say is that there's no set definition of womanhood, and there shouldn't be. Happiness is the key to true empowerment, and we should be elevating all of our sisters, no matter the differences in lifestyles. So not the a-hole. Opus. Just keep loving and supporting your daughter through all of her phases, and make sure to hype up her decision when / if she finally settles on one. Am I the antagonist for telling a neighbor lady to keep her kid off my property? A little over a year ago, I bought a house. In the front yard there was a swing bench. It was a crappy swing too. The seat was made out of pallets, but the structure was fine. So I built a new bench to swing on and enjoy. According to my girlfriend, some lady that lives around us has been letting her kid come through our yard and play on the swing. I never saw the lady or kid and just brushed it off. Until today. We went out to eat, and when we came home, she was standing in our yard watching her kid play on our swing. When we pulled into the driveway, she scooped up her kid and started walking off. When I got out of the car, she yelled at me, "I hope it's okay I let her play on your swing." I told her no, I was not okay with it, and that she should refrain from coming onto my property again. She started arguing with me that if I didn't want her kid on the swing, then I should have said something sooner, and maybe I shouldn't have it in my yard if I don't want others on it. Mind you, I've never even met this lady the entire time we've lived here. I kind of lost it at her and told her that she needs to take her entitled ass back to her house and learn not to touch things that don't belong to her, and set a better example for her kid. Because having her kid play on my swing is a liability for me. If something were to happen, and the swing were to break, and or anything else that could happen to her on my property, she just said whatever, and took her kid and walked off. My girlfriend told me I should have handled that better, and thought I sound like the stereotypical old man telling kids to get off his lawn. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. She knew she was wrong. That's why she left when she was caught. NTA. And I really appreciate how the op showed the neighbor that asking for forgiveness rather than permission is not a sound strategy. NTA. Why would some strange woman be allowed on your property? If she wants her kid to swing that bad, she should go buy one for her yard. She knew she was in the wrong, or she wouldn't have started walking away when you pulled up. Exactly. She has been waiting until Op is not home to use it. Then she left as soon as Op got there. If it's no big deal, why leave? Lol, the audacity of her to say you shouldn't have things in your own property if you don't want other people using them. You nailed it. She should do better for her kid, not the a-hole. Am I the antagonist for ruining my mom's first time meeting with my kids? Me, 28 male, and my son's mommy had our twin boys 4 weeks ago. It's beyond hectic ATM trying to survive with 2 newborns. My mom barely called me after we haven't spoken since telling her I got my friend pregnant. Unexpected, but we agreed we want to co-parent our kids. She didn't come around to accepting that until after the boys were born. She wanted to meet them. We didn't agree until now because we are both exhausted. Adie's staying at my place right now since there's more space and we are both here 24/7 with the kids. So I asked her if she was fine with my mom coming over to see the boys, and she said yes. Not even 5 minutes after my mom shows up, she's asking me why the kitchen is so dirty. Gee, I wonder why every little thing she had something to say about. She was bothered about the twins' playmat still on the floor from when they were doing tummy time earlier, asking when was the last time someone took out the trash that same morning. But when you have two shitting newborns, the bin fills up quick. I'm used to this with my mom because she always liked cleanliness, but I told her she needs to knock it off immediately. So there we were in the living room chilling with the kids. BTW Adie went to go take a nap before my mom came over and woke up an hour later, so she went out to greet my mom. The three of us were talking. Little man got all fussy, so Adie took him from my mom to feed him. His crying woke up my other son in my arms, so I'm trying to rock him back to sleep. Adie took one to their room, so that way neither bother the other while we're trying to calm them down. My mom asks me if Adie is always this rude. I ask her, what do you mean? She says because Adie didn't bother to get up once my mom got there, but I told her, well, what do you expect? She just had a C-section barely 4 weeks ago. Now we have 2 newborns with a fresh set of lungs to look after. We take turns getting a nap every chance we get. But according to my mom it's not right since we were having company, so I told her, well, you weren't here to see Adie, you were meeting my sons. My mom still thought the least she could have done was show a little hospitality. Adie came in again when she was saying that. We both said we are exhausted, at least we were nice enough to let her come see the kids even when it's been a long day. She still got defensive, saying she knew she was meeting her grandkids, but thought we'd at least tidy up, get ready for her to be here. I'm already irked and really didn't have the energy for this, and that's what I told her. Also, if she won't stop whining about the little things, then please leave. Which is what she did, but now she won't stop claiming I treated her so poorly on a day that was supposed to be memorable. My mom is expecting an apology from me for ruining her first meeting with her grandkids and pretty much acting like an asshole. I'm not sure if there was a better way to handle what happened. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. Sounds like mom only came over to find fault and start a fight. Honestly feels like it. Put her in a long ass timeout. No visits till a real apology happens. I bet she doesn't know how to give one. NTA. I'm old enough to be a grandparent, but my kids all are child free. If I had even a first grandchild, let alone twins, I would come into the home armed with cleaners, brooms, mops, and get to work where I was needed. I would absolutely not expect to be catered to. That's what you do when you have children. Help them, no matter how old your kids are. It's funny that you say that. When I had my daughter, #2, my mom lived in a different state. I'm in New York, and she is in Flab. When mom came to visit, and my daughter was just a few months old, she watched her whenever she could. Also, my older sister had her son 3 weeks after I had my daughter. When my sis was in the hospital, I went over to her house to clean up for her arrival back home with her baby. I had daughter on my chest cleaning my sister's house. Am I the antagonist? Because I told my husband that sister-in-law uninvited me from her wedding, made a throwaway for this, as my family members browse this sub. So my sister-in-law, 26, has always been jealous of my looks. She's made comments about my outfits, my makeup, how I should dress, my age, I'm 24, etc. She also feels the need to loudly remark around me that looks aren't everything. People who wear makeup are shallow, etc. I've never reacted to this, since she seems to have low self-esteem and I feel bad for her. She's getting married next month. Her fiance seems to be nice, but we've had some awkward encounters, like when I was wearing a slightly low-cut dress. He kept glancing towards my chest. He's also stared at my legs in the past, and he's usually confident and extroverted. but kind of gets shy and stumbles while speaking to me. My sister-in-law recently spoke to me in private and asked me to not come to the wedding. She said I deserve to be the most beautiful person at my wedding, and you'll spoil that for me. I want all eyes to be on me, not you. I told her I'd skip makeup and wear a simple dress, but she made it clear I couldn't be there. Since I know she doesn't like me, I didn't argue with her. I don't even like social situations, so this was a win for me. Later I told my husband what she'd said and informed him that I wasn't going. He got angry, called her and said that was a cruel thing to do, and said he wouldn't attend either if I wasn't invited. I hadn't asked him to do that. I had mentioned the whole thing pretty casually. Later my sister-in-law sent me a long text calling me a bitch for snitching to him and wanting to flaunt my looks. So was I the asshole because I told him the reason? I know she's insecure about her looks, so maybe I should come up with another excuse. Now for the top comments. Calling me a bitch for snitching to him, nope. If people knowing about what she did embarrasses her, that's on her, not you. NTA. And honestly I would show a hubby her text response as well. His family. He should handle it. WTF did sister-in-law think was going to happen? Husband would go to the wedding alone and not think that it was odd his wife was at home, not the a-hole. NTA, and your husband's reaction was the correct one. He took your side as he should. Be glad you won't be stared at by her creepy fiancé, lol. Thank you. I was just worried that maybe he was too harsh. I don't think she's a bad person, just very insecure. And yeah, the fiancé does have a creepy vibe.